Hey guys, Joebizz34 back yet again. And here's another little figure I wanted to review real fast. Charlie Chaplin. 1/6 Charlie Chaplin done by IMINIME. This is the first version that came out a few years ago that was credited to Rainman for the head sculpt. Very simplistic, comes with obviously the one sculpt, the outfit, which is very nicely done and tailored on the figure body with the cane and a chair to sit on, and that's it. And there was always something about the simplicity of this figure that just grabbed me. You know, I'm not a huge Charlie Chaplin fan, but in this case, I am a fan of what he represents. I mean, I think the man has done a lot for movie cinema, for its time, its generation, and the fact, and for comedians and slapstick comedy. He's an innovator. I think he was one of the first, to really be able to resonate emotion, laughter, sadness, whatever, through expressions and through his his expressions, his physical self, because it was, most of the movies, he did silent movies, and they were black and white. And in those days, that's, what a movie was. And this man, was a genius. He was a comedian. He was slapstick. He was acted as like a mime, and he was able to portray a lot of those feelings. And, he could make you laugh, he could make you cry, and he could do all these different things without saying a word, and it was silent film. And that's saying something. That's talent, man. And I respect the hell out of that. I got to be honest with you. And I was a big fan growing up. I saw some Charlie Chaplin stuff, and I was a fan. But I was a big fan also of, like, the Three Stooges. I used to watch them all the time. The Marx Brothers. I have an uncle who's a big fan of the Marx Brothers. Laurel and Hardy. Abbott and Costello later on after that. I mean, and then you can go to Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin and, just so on and so forth, that, you come all the way up to present day. These were the pioneers. These were the guys that made it happen. And they did a lot for not only comedy and slapstick and just, comedy / drama, whatever, but, for silent film, but it, helped evolve it into what it was, going from one era to another. This was the start, silent film was the start of it, and you got to respect that. And I just feel that being a movie buff and being a movie fan, it wouldn't be right to not, have a representation of kind of like where it started, at least for comedians, or that type of comedy, that type of acting, method acting almost. You show all this stuff in just, your eyes or, your facial features, your expressions, that you can't say out loud because, nobody can hear it. So again, that was my reasoning for always being intrigued by this figure. Now, why this figure? IMINIME came out with a newer version to celebrate, I guess, the 100th anniversary. And that one came with like 2 head sculpts, a camera, like an old-fashioned camera, a backdrop. If you got like the deluxe version, that came with like a backdrop of like a door and stairs or stuff like that to display him in front of. And it's very nice. And I think those sculpts are very well done too. But there's something very like simple and meaningful of this facial expression right here. And I always favored the sculpt more. And yes, it does help that it's Rainman. I do agree with that. I mean, I sorted out this figure for 2 reasons. One, because it's the original IMINIME release. So, from a collector's standpoint, I just felt like I wanted the first one, not like the newer one. I mean, you get more bang for the buck with the new one. I mean, you get 2 head sculpts, you get a lot of other stuff. But I just like the simplicity of this one. His cane, his outfit, his head, and his chair. You know, and of course it came in a nice wooden box that was classy, and it comes with a certificate of authenticity and all that, which I do have. It's in the box. I showed pictures of it on Facebook when I opened them up. And I just think it's a beautifully well done figure. And yes, I do admit I wanted this figure more because Rainman did this. And not to take anything away from the second release, I think they're great sculpts as well. And if you're a Charlie Chaplin fan, there's plenty of options out there. But I wanted this for it being Rainman's work. And like again, there's just something about this facial expression that they have on this sculpt that just says more to me. I don't know. I just favor this one. The other ones have like a smile, you know, where he's smiling, or has like, you know, one where he's like his eyes are bulging, or like a look of shock. And again, they're great, but this is the look I wanted. And so with it being the first release and it being Rain Man and stuff like that, and still being IMINIME, this is the one I wanted. I don't understand, and I've talked about this with other guys. Shout out to Joe Brayton if you're watching this film, Mr. Stiff Richards, aka. You know, we had conversations, and you know, we both agreed that we don't really understand why this figure is not more sought after. You know, as far as value-wise, you know, you could still pick up this figure dirt cheap if you could find it. Actually, they're a little more expensive on eBay. I've seen them go anywhere between $200 to $300, or maybe a little more. Or in some cases, I don't know if they're selling for that ultimately, but I see people listed for that. I got this one for almost as cost. Like it was like, you know, like 150 or somewhere around there. It is secondhand. But the person that had it took very good care of it. It's in great condition. There's nothing wrong with the figure. Came with the box, everything, you know, minty fresh, looked new. And, you know, he sold it for what it was. And, you know, I happened to see it on eBay, and I snagged it, and I was very happy. And in this case, I'm glad because, you know, I did get to buy it without, you know, hurting the bank account much. But I don't understand, you know, with it being IMINIME, with it being Rain Man, and it being the first release, I don't know why it's not worth more. Again, I wanted it either way. I don't care about the value, and that's why I still went ahead and got it, because I like it for certain reasons, like I mentioned. But again, I don't know if there's maybe not many Charlie Chaplin fans out there, or I don't know what it is, but it just seems that the figure is not in high demand. Even, you know, despite now, Rain Man had made Charlie Chaplin figures before the IMINIME name that he custom made, I think by commission, and he made like a few different versions, like one where he looks like he's crying, one where he doesn't really have makeup on, it's more like a flesh colored face tone. And I've seen pictures of them, and they're very rare, and those go for mint, those go for a lot of money. And I know, and I understand, because those are the originals, and they were custom, and you know, they were done by Rainman, I think, completely. And I can understand those being worth a lot of money. But this one still has Rainman's name on it, and it has IMINIME's name on it, and their stuff goes up in value too. So, again, not too sure what the deal is, or maybe because it's not the first one Rainman ever did, maybe that's why it's not, you know, considered as rare. I don't know. But, you know, I don't have the money to go after the ones, you know, I'm not that big of a Chaplin fan to go and spend, you know, like thousands of dollars for one of Rainman's originals, and they're very hard to find anyway. So I'll compromise and settle for this because, you know, I'm a fan of IMINIME, I'm a fan of Rainman, and I'm a fan of this figure. And so I basically got this without breaking the bank by any means. And that's it. And you know what? I think to me it's a 5-star figure. 1 out of 10, I'd give it a 10. I mean, maybe I'd knock off a point for lack of accessories, but at the same time, again, you don't really need accessories. I think the simplicity of it actually helps the figure. So, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. If you're a really big Chaplin fan, there's other versions. I think it's the company called Cubic, I believe, that makes a Chaplin, and then there's another version of IMINIME, like I said, with the 2-head sculpts. So go out and get them. They're still very, gettable, and you can get them without paying too much money for them. So, go and get them if you want one. This guy, is a little harder to find, but at the same time, he can be had. I don't know about the price I got him for. I think I got lucky, but you can get him again for a fairly reasonable price, considering that he's several years old and sold out everywhere. So that's my quick review. Great figure. Proud to have him represent this character and this actor in my collection. And like I said, when you think cinema and you think movies, I think about the roots and where these things began. And this gentleman right here is a big part of comedy and slapstick and all kinds of method acting, or whatever you want to call it, that has evolved to today's standards. And at the end of the road, or at the beginning of the road, I should say, this is one of the gentlemen standing there. So I'm happy to own him in my collection. That's it till next time, guys. This is Joebizz34. Until next time, peace out.